So President Biden is bringing back Trump's harshest immigration policies. Take a look at this. Breaking. The Biden administration announced it's further extending the Trump-era program known as Title 42 that expels people seeking asylum without due process. The Title 42 program is illegal and cruel. Just yesterday, the administration blamed a court order for its restarting of another Trump-era policy known as Remain in Mexico that causes many of the same harms. With Title 42, there's no court order to blame. All right, so let me break this down for you. The Remain in Mexico thing, I guess they're accurately blaming a court ruling that says that needs to remain in place. But with Title 42, if anything, it's the opposite. So what I mean by that is the courts have ruled that it is unconstitutional and you can't implement it in the way it's been implemented, where the idea is, hey, we have a pandemic, and so for health and safety reasons, we're just going to instantly expel people, even ones who are seeking asylum. So this isn't even just a claim of undocumented immigration. This is people who have a claim to asylum, and there needs to be a process to determine whether or not that's a fair claim that they're making. They say, skip the process, you're gonski, and the reason why you're gone is because there's a health crisis. We have the COVID pandemic, and so we're not going to take the risk, and so you're just going to be sent out, even if you're making a claim of asylum that might even be legitimate. We don't know if it's legitimate or illegitimate. We're not going to have a process. We're just going to kick you out immediately. So these are two of Trump's harshest immigration policies, and they're back in place. One of them you could blame the court. The other one you cannot blame the court. And it's even more nefarious than that, because what's the Biden administration doing? I think their argument from a legal perspective is, hey, look, you said we couldn't do Title 42 because of the original COVID-19 and then Delta. You said we can't do it. Well, now we have the Omicron variant. That's different than Delta and original COVID-19. So now we're doing a new order where we're doing Title 42 under the guise of this new variant. So they're just going to kick people out immediately, even if they're seeking asylum, even if they have a legitimate claim to asylum, because they basically want to, I think what they're trying to do is just lighten their headache for themselves, because there is a surge at the border. And so they just out of sight, out of mind type stuff, and they just want to make it orderly and clean as quickly as possible, and if that means doing right-wing policies, so be it. Now, there's a lot of stuff to break down in this. First of all, I think it's still unconstitutional and illegal, and a court may rule that doing Title 42 the way they're doing it is unconstitutional and illegal. We'll have to wait and see on that. But also, look, Biden himself is a colossal hypocrite, because regardless of what you think of the policy, he ran on the opposite. He ran on having a much more humanitarian and altruistic approach to immigration. Now, Biden is no lefty on immigration, but he's supposed to be, in theory, at least moderate on immigration, or center-left on immigration. And this is him just embracing a right-wing approach on immigration. So he's a colossal hypocrite, and he's a liar, because he said he was going to do the opposite, and he's not. He's cracking down, in this instance, exactly like Donald Trump. But the other thing is, I'm waiting for the right to give Biden credit for this. See, there's something that I noticed about the left, myself included in this. When I thought Donald Trump did something good, like fast-track the mRNA vaccines, I gave him credit. When I thought Trump did something good with axing TPP when he did that, I gave him credit. Because I don't care about partisan stupidity. I care about policy and what's actually being done. I have no problem giving credit where credit is due. The right doesn't do that. And so here's Biden doing Trump-era policies that the right loved it when Trump did it, and now Biden's doing those exact same policies, and I guarantee you will see no segments on Fox News, Newsmax, One American News Network saying, credit to Joe Biden for doing what we think is the right thing here. Being tough on immigration. Immediately deporting people, even if they have a legitimate claim to asylum. Putting back the Remain in Mexico policy. Credit to him on these things. They're not going to do it, because they're not intellectually honest, and they're not policy-focused first and foremost. There's partisan tribalism is at the heart of what they do more than anything else. So really, in this conversation, I think the left has the most accurate claim, because they would say Biden ran on cleaning up Trump's immigration mess and not being a right-wing hardliner, and he lied, and he's a hypocrite, and he flipped his position, and now he's doing exactly what Trump did. And so criticizing him from the left on this is legitimate. Now, by the way, as you guys know, I always call myself a moderate on the issue of immigration. I'm in favor of having a process and having a system, but it needs to be fair, just, altruistic. It needs to coincide with U.S. law and international law. And the fact of the matter is, this ain't no moderate approach on immigration. This is hard right shit. And I think it's illegal. I think it's unconstitutional. I think it's unfair. I think it rips the mask off of a country that pretends to care about human rights and justice, and clearly we don't. Clearly we don't. Because people have a right to seek asylum, and we're not even hearing the claims. You're just immediately kicking them out. So I think even from a moderate center-left position on immigration, which is where I would put myself, there's so much to criticize even just from that perspective. Biden's being way too hardline here, and he just wants to do an out-of-sight, out-of-mind approach. And this is something the right should celebrate because they're hardline assholes on this issue, but they're not going to do that. They're still going to attack him anyway. So it's a terrible policy, and from a political perspective, ain't no credit coming from the right, and obviously the left is going to be dead set against this because at least they're more honest and care about the policy of it, and they know it's BS. And so this is yet another way in which Biden is becoming his own worst enemy, and that 36%, 38% approval rating appears totally legitimate and like he earned it here.